Today we're going to talk about a quick skill that can really improve your landscape painting. So let's get started. As painters, we're always designers as well. So let's look at the photograph first. Let's see, I'll bring it up a little bit. There we go, that's better. So this is a photograph that I've used many times, and I did a demo of it the other day, I think just yesterday. But anyway, and I'll be doing it again with a limited palette. The point is, look at the photograph, and you see how there is a real horizontal group of bushes at the very front. This happens a lot with landscape when you're taking a photograph, is you'll end up with things happening in front that are that go very horizontal, and in a sense sort of stops your eye. And I call that putting things on a stage. In other words, you can look at those bushes and whatnot as being the audience, and then you look at the main event, which is the barn, as the stage. So how do you avoid that so your eye isn't blocked into entering a painting? Well, one of the ways is what I call playing the angles. And so I'll go ahead. This is that same scene, and look at two ways to solve the problem. But I think the second way, it works much better than the first way. And again, there's no wrong or right. You know, it all depends on what your eye and what your artistic sensibilities are. That's what I love about art, that there is no wrong or right. But there are some tricks to the trade that can help you have more success. So what's happening here is I'm playing the angles. So I become the designer. I took away that group of bushes that is so horizontal in front, and I broke it up with that mass on the left. And now I'm creating some diagonals that allows your eye to kind of wander into the painting, almost like waves. Now, I'm pretty happy with that, but I thought there might be a better way with this subject. And so let's look at what I think is the better way. Again, not that there's a wrong or right. So it's the exact same photograph, and the issue is what to do about the bushes. How do you get something to not be on stage, but make it look like, as the person who's viewing the painting, you can enter the painting. In other words, it's not an obstacle in front of you. There isn't a mass that's stopping you from going into the scene. You want to go into the scene. Your eye wants to go into the scene. You're kind of, in a sense, you're inviting the watcher to come in. Just makes for a friendlier painting overall. Now, in this case, I'm going to play the angles by going to the left. So that's what I think to myself. I could go to the right if I wanted to, but there's that heavy mass of foliage already on the right. So I want to balance that with going to the left. So I put in a mass, and then I put in a couple of bushes, forms, but they're, in a sense, going to lead your eye to the left. And I'm going to do it again here. A little bit of a dark shadow or something that I'll put there. So I have three things that are going to carry your eye to the left, and I'm going to put them in boxes so you can see it a little bit clearer. The whole idea being here is the top one I find a little bit confusing to my eye, and the bottom one is less confusing but still allows for a lot of air and space. So I'm going to be able to walk into the painting by putting that mass in the front. And then when it comes to the clouds, again, I'm a designer. I get to decide how I want those to go. And that's just something that after a while you get a feeling for how to balance in your painting. But if I had left the sky completely one color, it would have been a little bit uninteresting. I'm very interested in shapes. Now what I'm doing is putting those elements that I'm going to emphasize in boxes so that you can see I created those elements that will lead your eye to the left, and it's going to allow you to come into the painting. That vertical line is really important. That's the telephone pole. And then the barn, of course, leads you to the right. I hope I said rights and lefts right, but I think you get the idea. The idea, of course, is to allow like I said, the viewer to walk into a painting and not have to see something on stage. And then that's the way the photograph really is. I went back in and made that group of bushes, which you would have seen in the original photograph. There's just too much heading horizontally to the right. It's very heavy on that side. So I try to avoid a stage if I can, because that's not what I want. I don't want to put on a show. I don't want my people to be the audience who are watching it, including myself. I want to be invited in. And that's what the second thing allows you to do. So I hope that that makes some sense. And now I'll put up a couple of stills so we can look at the finished product. So there's the stage, and there's the invitation in. So it's really important to be a designer in your painting world. Of course, you need to observe and put down what you see in the world, but there are certain things, the world isn't perfect, far from it. And so how can you manipulate your composition to be better? I think that this works better, allowing your eye to walk into the painting and investigate those spaces. And so sometimes you kind of have to manipulate, I would say. And if you look at the great painters, they're manipulating all the time. I can think of 1,000 examples where that's the case. So remember to keep the whites of your paper white, your paints wet, mass for value, mix for color. If you have questions, please ask them and I will answer them. All right, see you next time. Bye-bye.